That is a perfect eating rib right there. Hey guys, it's Adam from BB Barbecue. Welcome back to my channel. On today's episode, I'm going to show you guys how to cook perfect baby back ribs with that sweet heat flavor just using your Weber Kettle. So these are our baby back ribs. As you can see, I've got a lot of marbling in here. That's what I'm looking for when I'm buying these because it's already lean. They're a lot more lean than your spare ribs. So let's flip these over. And it's got a huge membrane on the back. I like to take a butter knife and just slip it right in. And then we're going to pull it off with a paper towel. Alright guys, once you get your knife in there, you're going to kind of work it side to side to kind of pull up on it just a little bit. And I like to pull this just because I want more smoke penetration coming through the bottom, and I feel like that membrane is hindering the absorption of smoke, and I like to get as much as possible, especially when you're using your Weber Kettle. So we're going to take this, we're just going to pull straight up, and it should all come off at once. Just like that. And then we've got a little bit left, we'll grab that. But we're going to do the same thing on the other rack. Alright, so we've got both of the membranes pulled. You can see the meat's exposed here, so it's going to help with that smoke absorption. I'm going to flip these over and take a look at the top side. I brought my boning knife out, but I don't think I'm going to need it. Maybe, so you see this little piece right here. Little pieces like that you can cut off, but I mean, you're not really going to trim them but so much because you want to keep all that fat on these ribs. All that fat's just going to help with keeping it juicy. Okay, the top looks good to me. I'm going to keep all this fat in here. Let's flip these over and start seasoning. Alright, so for today's cook, we're going to be using, our base layer is going to be our Heath Riles garlic jalapeno rub. So we're going to put that on first. And then second, we're going to put on a little bit of Killer Hogs hot barbecue rub. So I like to start on the back side of the rib here. So we're going to add that Heath Riles seasoning. So you can go pretty heavy here. Just get a nice even coat right on the back side there. Just like that. We're going to do the same thing with the other one. Alright, now that we've hit it with that base layer of that garlic jalapeno, we're going to come back with some Killer Hogs hot. And I think these are going to add a good hot flavor to these ribs. And then it'll really complement the sweet barbecue sauce we're going to put on them. So this hot barbecue rub adds a lot of red color. It's going to make it look really, really good. So all that paprika in there is going to make it look awesome. It's going to give it that good flavor. So now that we've done the back side, we're going to let those sit for about 5 minutes and kind of let that moisture kind of start coming out of those ribs, and it'll really help with the seasoning adhering to the back side before I flip them over. Alright, so we've let these sit for about 5 minutes just to kind of get that spice to adhere to the ribs. So we're going to go ahead and flip them over on the front side. And as you can see, not a whole lot's coming off. That's a good sign. We're going to start with our garlic jalapeno rub. Put a base layer down. And then you can go as heavy as you want on these. I'm just doing a medium coat of the garlic jalapeno and then a more heavy coat of the hot barbecue rub just for that nice color. Make sure you get an even coat here. This is what's going to build that good bark, and it's going to give us that hot flavor that we're looking for. So then we're going to go back with that hot barbecue rub on top. Oh yeah. And these should add that really, really good spicy flavor. And then I'm going to hit it with some good sweet barbecue sauce. That's what's so good in a rib, is a sweet heat flavor. There we go. So we're going to let these sit for at least 30 minutes. And that's what's going to let this seasoning kind of sweat in a little bit. Get some of that moisture out of those ribs. It's going to look almost like a paste when it's ready to go onto the grill. And that'll give us enough time to go ahead and light our Weber. Alright, so this is our Weber Kettle, guys. So for today's cook, I'm really excited because we're going to get to use a Slow and Sear Deluxe. I've only used this one time. One of my good barbecue buddies gave this to me as a gift. and I'm excited to use it again because this water trough works perfectly. All your coals get stacked on top of each other really nice and organized, so it has no problem, the flame has no problem working this way through. Alright, so we're going to use this thing. Santa Claus came early. We're going to push that to the right side of the grill. Got some leftover from the first time I used it. This is B&B all natural briquette charcoal. So we're going to add some more. That should be good right there. And then we'll add the wood as we go. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to fill this water trough up, and then we're going to go ahead and light the coals. Alright, so now we got our coals in there and we've got our water trough filled up. I'm going to take one or two of these tumbleweeds and kind of tuck them in. And kind of tuck them in this edge here, just to get the fire started. Then I like to put a little bit of charcoal right on top, just like that. Take another briquette, put it right there, just to make sure that it gets the briquettes hot right here on the edge, and it's going to be able to work its way throughout the cook. Now we just wait. Alright, so our coals are ready. I actually had a little bit of burnt down pecan wood here from my offset that I'm running. So I just threw that on top. It's heating those coals up a little bit faster. So we're going to go ahead and put our grate on. So since these coals have heated up a little bit, we're going to go ahead and shut this down. We're going to put our top on. So we're going to put the exhaust vent right on that cool side, right over the ribs. And we're good to go. We're going to let that heat up to 250 to 275 range. We've hit 250 on the Weber. This is our what our baby backs are looking like. They've sweated in really nicely. So it's time to throw these things on. Right there. Alright, so these are looking good. So what we're going to do, we're going to let those go for an hour, and then we're going to rotate them. And we're going to move the one that's furthest away from the fire towards the fire, and vice versa. So we're going to let them go for an hour. We're going to check on them. I'm going to spray them down with a mixture of half water, half apple cider vinegar, just to keep them nice and moist. So other than that, let's let them go. Alright, so now that we've thrown the ribs on, another step we're going to do, we're going to open up this side panel here. We've got a few small chunks of hickory. I'm going to place those. I'm going to place one right over the fire. I'm going to put one right here in the middle and kind of scatter them throughout so it'll constantly be getting that good smoke flavor. I'm only going to put about 3 chunks of hickory just because hickory is a strong wood and you don't need a lot of it. Just like that's fine, so it'll hit here and then it'll continue down and continue to add that smoke flavor. We'll shut our vent down and we're going to let these go for an hour. Alright guys, it's been 1 hour. We're going to check on these ribs. Oh yeah, they are looking good. We're getting a nice bark to set on those ribs. We got a nice mahogany color. So what we're going to do at this point, we're going to switch these over. So we're going to move them around here. Just going to move them around. Just like that. Just so the one that's been on that really cool side can be up next to the fire this time. The other thing, I've got a mixture of 50-50 water, apple cider vinegar. We're just going to spritz those over the top. Try not to spray your fire there. You can see that hickory wood is on fire. So we need to go ahead and spray these down and get that thing shut down here. Now we're going to shut it down. Let that smoke do its work. And then we'll check on them in 1 hour. Alright, it's been a total of 2 hours. We're going to check on these baby backs. And they're looking really, really good. So they've had 2 hours in that nice hickory smoke, set in that bark really nicely. You can see that dark mahogany. So we're going to take these things off and get them ready to wrap up. Alright guys, we got these ribs inside. I've already wrapped that first one, but I'm going to show you guys what I wrapped it with. A little bit of light brown sugar. Put a nice layer of that. Then we're going to hit it with a little bit of garlic jalapeno rub, just a light layer just to add on to that good flavor. Then we're going to add a little bit of light blue agave. You can use honey, you can use Mike's Hot Honey, anything right here just to add a nice sweet flavor. Just run you a little line there. Then my personal favorite, some good old Parquet squeeze butter. Last but not least, the sauce that we're going to be using at the end, some Blues Hog Champions Blend. We're going to run one line of that. And this is what's going to add that sweet flavor to that hotness of the seasoning. So you're going to get both good flavors. Alright, and that's it. So now we're just going to take our ribs that have been smoking in that good hickory smoke. We're going to put them face down into all that sweet goodness. And then we're just going to wrap them up. Alright. Just fold each side in nice and tight. And we're just going to fold the edges in. Just like that. You're going to do that 2 times. And there you go. They're ready to go back on the Weber. So we're back out at the grill. Go ahead and throw these things back on. Now that they're wrapped up, we can kind of crank the temperature up a little bit. So we're going to be running around 300 degrees. So we're putting these on face down just like we wrapped them. So the face of the rib is facing down towards the bottom of the grill. So we're going to shut that down. I'm actually going to add a little bit more charcoal. I'm going to show you how I do that. And then we're just going to let them go until they get tender. Alright, as we can see, I'm going to flip this grate up. We've burned through about 75% of these coals. So I'm just going to add a few more. I'm just going to add a few more briquettes in there. Just so we can finish these ribs off. That should be pretty good right there. So now that we've added charcoal, we're going to let these things go for another hour. Then we're going to peel back that foil. We're going to check them. Make sure they're around 200 to 205 is what you're looking for. If they're not, we're going to let them keep going. We're going to wrap them back up. But then we're going to check every 15 to 30 minutes after that hour. Alright guys, so it has been 1 hour with them wrapped up. We're going to go ahead and check and see what the internal temperature is looking like. So we're just going to fold this pouch open here. And you're just going to probe right in the center of the ribs. The outside's always going to get done faster than the middle. And some bone exposed. I don't think it's there quite yet, but we're going to check and see anyway. About 192. So we're moving right along. We're getting close. Still a little bit of resistance when I stick the probe in. I'm going to make sure you check in separate spots. We're getting a few different readings right around 190. So I'd say about 30 minutes these will be done. Alright, and then we're going to rotate these around. I'm going to check these other ones. So right now we've been running at a smooth about 300. About 290 to 300 grill temperature. So let's check these other ones. These are a little bit thinner rack of ribs, so they might be done. Alright, so both of these racks are running right around the same, about 190 to 195 at different spots. So we're going to just let those go for about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, we'll see. Maybe 20, because they're getting close to being done. Once the ribs hit about 200 in that internal temperature in the middle of the rack, I like to start probing every about 10 minutes to check for tenderness. So at that point, the numbers so not really that important. You're just mainly trying to see if this probe goes in with no resistance. So we'll let these babies go for about 20 more minutes and then we'll check on them. Alright guys, so it's been a total of 3 hours and 20 minutes, so we're going to check these. So I'm going to take my thermopin here. We're going to open this up, check that middle, right between the bones. So 202, and that one's even more tender. That's super tender. 201. Oh yeah. So we're looking like we're done here. About 201 is what we're looking at, but when I poke them with the thermopin, there's no resistance. That's the key. So we're going to pull these out, and what we're going to do, we're going to sauce them for 5 minutes on the grill, and then they'll be ready to eat. So I like to throw this foil in an old container that we've kept. So So the color on those are amazing. I mean, you can't ask for a better color. Really nice mahogany red. Alright, so we're going to pull these out. Yeah, these are definitely done as well. Alright guys, now we've got them out of those pouches. We've got some Champions Blend, some Blues Hog Champions Blend sauce warmed up here. So we're just going to sauce these with our old trusty mop here. And these, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better color on these. They're looking really good, really juicy. I mean, when I probed them, there was no resistance. So that's always a good sign to let you know that they're going to be awesome. So we're going to put sauce on both of these. You can put as much sauce as you want. You know, you don't need a whole lot. I just like for it to set on these ribs and give it time to caramelize. So that usually only takes about 5 minutes on the grill. And that looks pretty good to me. So we'll let these go for 5 minutes. Alright, so we've hit that 5-minute mark. And boy, ho, buddy. These babies are looking good. That sauce has set in on them. It's got a nice dark mahogany color to them. I'm ready to eat these things. Let's get them inside. So you know they're done when they have a nice bend to them like that. So we got these things inside. The first thing I like to do is take some of that Blues Hog Champions Blend sauce that I've warmed up just a little bit. Kind of put you a line just like that for those ribs. This ensures that, you know, the face of the ribs won't get messed up because we're going to cut them. Whew, look at that. We're going to cut them face down. That is a good looking rack of ribs right there. So now we're not messing up that nice color on the front, but also when we're cutting them we can see the bones. So you're going to cut right between the bones. So you're going to follow your sharp knife right through the bone just like that. And boy, are these things tender. I mean, it's cutting through it with ease. Oh yeah. So let's take a look at this rib here. Oh yeah. Nice color to it. Juiciness. You see that smoke coming off of it? And the only thing left to do is just try these. I'm going to grab one right from the middle. And we're going to give this thing a try. Whew. Thing is looking good. Really, really good flavor. Perfect bite. That is a perfect eating rib right there. Tender, but doesn't pull away all the way from the bone. Leaves a clean bone. If you follow this recipe on your Weber Kettle, I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed. You can tell that sweet heat flavor is there. Initially, you bite into it, you get all that sweetness from the sauce and the things that we put in the wrap. But on that back end, you get all that flavor from the hot barbecue rub and the garlic jalapeno rub. Man, that's a good rib. Oh, good. Alright guys, I'm going to finish off these ribs. Like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you watching my content here. There's a lot more coming. See you down the road.